I'm standing in front of a house on St. Joe Avenue just past Krug Park, where from 1894 to 1945 stood the Alpine Winery. Although a part of the house did burn down in the 70s, most of the original structure still exists, and the rest was rebuilt to the original. Christian Rugsager was an immigrant from Switzerland who took over his father's land, turning it into something he had a passion for: wine. The winery was successful until 1945, when hard times following the repeal of Prohibition forced the family to shut down operations. But 51 years later, and 1,700 miles west, Mr. Rugsager's great-granddaughter is following in his footsteps in a big way.
Every summer we'd go to St. Joseph, and we had so much fun playing around the old vineyards and exploring that part of our history. And to be able to bring that into something that I do every day is really a dream come true.
Darcy Kent and her family opened operations in 1996 in Livermore, California, just outside of San Francisco. One of the most important aspects of following in her family's tradition was painting the labels for the bottles, something Mr. Rugsager did from the beginning.
He made prints and bottled, which is the same process that I use today. I do all the artwork for my wine labels as a nod to what my great-grandfather did. And so we both make like an original, and from that the print is made and the wine label.
I was interested to see how much history the current owner, Paul Gatewood, knew about his residence and the old winery. Do you know a little bit about the history here?
A little. I wish I knew a lot more.
What can you tell me about what's behind us here?
Well, up on this hill, in the middle of those woods, is an old cistern. And the way I took it was they would store the water up there, and then they would feed the water down here to the barrels or to the winery, however they stilled the wine.
And the original residence isn't the only thing still standing.
Over here, we call it the Alpine building, and I assume that's what people have called it for years because it just came to me. I didn't name it, it was already named. And that is where they would serve the wine, kind of a bed and breakfast type deal. And then in the middle of it is like a dance floor or a bar. They actually had 2 bathrooms back there and a little dance floor here, and then the wraparound porch went all the way around.
Also in keeping with the historical winemaking process, Mrs. Kent wanted to use a specific grape that has been used by her family for generations.
In Switzerland, they planted a grape that's very near and dear to me called a Gruner Veltliner. And this is a grape that's not very well known in the United States, but I was determined to bring that back as a nod to my great-grandfather. So we are the largest producer of domestically grown Gruner Veltliner and largest distributed in the United States.
Now I know what all of you wine drinkers are wondering out there. Are there any original bottles of Alpine in existence? Well, the family has one that we know of, but there is a rumor out there of something amazing.
Supposedly, now, the way I gather it, this was during the Prohibition, so you couldn't produce alcohol. And so they buried them underneath the barn just to the north of the house, and it's been there ever since. Now, the Shays, from what my father told me, the Shays started to dig them up, but said that they started to deteriorate, so they just left them there. So as far as I know, they're still there and still intact.
Well, for the time being, the rumor of the buried casks will remain a mystery. But for the Kent family, having this history still exist and continuing with their family passion means more to them than anything.
So much of who we are, I think, is where we've come from. And so that upbringing of our history, and every single generation of my family has owned vineyards and worked in the wine industry. It's a connection through the years of generations, and actually I think it's part of our blood.
Jeremy Lyons, Fox 26, KNPN.